Evan Gershkovich, a 31-year-old Wall Street Journal reporter who was arrested by Russian authorities on espionage charges, was declared falsely detained by Secretary of State Antony Blinken, suggesting that U.S. officials hoped he could be traded as a hostage for some Russian prisoners. The problem is that in Vladimir Putin's Russia this is often a crime. In declaring Gershkovich foreign spy, Putin may not be looking for a symbol in prisoner exchange, but an example that will deter other reporters, domestic and foreign, from doing their job. According to some sources, Gershkovich was arrested in Yekaterinburg, production city central Russia, where he interviewed employees of a tank factory and investigated the Wagner Group, private militia the Russian war Ukraine. He was collecting information about activities of one of enterprises in Russian military-industrial complex, which constitutes a state secret, as FSB stated in his arrest statement. Or, in the words of a Western journalist, he was reporting on a story. Up until 10 years ago, this is how Russian officials would describe the situation. But not anymore. As New Yorker's Masha Gessen recently noted, FSB and Russian parliament have since expanded definition of espionage to include information gathering that the Russian government considers a threat to country's security. This includes information collected by journalists and other professionals. The previous law required prosecution to prove hostile intent. Under the new law this is no longer case. It also does not matter whether the information is already publicly available or whether the journalist has yet to write a story. Gessen, a former Russian journalist who immigrated to US 10 years ago, describes the new, stricter version of law as a legal instrument of terrorism. According to its provisions, anyone who looks too closely at anything to do with state secrets is, ipso facto, a criminal. The threat is not just theoretical. Gessen cites several cases where Russian journalists were charged with treason and sentenced to long prison terms simply for criticizing the war in Ukraine or covering the movements of Russian troops. These cases deter many Russian reporters from taking the same path. Many left the country long ago. Gershkovich's arrest can be seen as a message that the law also applies to foreign journalists. The most surprising thing about the Gershkovich case is that such cases are very rare. In 1986, a particularly tense period of Cold War, at the time U.S. No American journalist has been arrested on espionage charges in Russia since Nicholas Daniloff, Moscow correspondent for News and World Report. Even then, Daniloff's imprisonment was seen at the time as retaliation for the arrest of Gennady Zakharov on espionage charges.